through our podcast, we've talked to some people that we would all deem really successful. And trust me, they're as confused as you. No one ever has their life figured out. They pretend to know it. Like when I say I want to start a social impact VC, there's so many moments when I second guess that, right? Like, don't everyone especially in the business and law world, everyone projects this sense of knowing what's going on because that's how they, that's how they sell their product or they, actually
100%.
do well in business. But internally, everyone has this element of imposter syndrome.
Is it worth it? What am I getting out of this besides a few medals and a belt? Maybe a few claps when I'm standing on on a stage. But is that worth so many hours of my life? So I had to find a way to figure out sort of like the spiritual. I wouldn't say spiritual. I would say like mental lessons that I've learned because as I got older, I felt like the physical it's good, it's intoxicating, but is that enough to sort of justify spending so much time in it? I'm not too sure.
But
That's
in
why
Zimbabwe, almost everyone has a side hustle because the formal employment systems don't work. So you're not making enough from your main job. So a lot of people actually end up having like lots of side hustles. They either they're a banker, but they also sell tomatoes. They're a banker, but they sell toothpaste. They're a banker. And it's a really crazy way of thinking, but only Africans will understand. And it's tragic, but I think that's why if you ever meet an African, here in the diaspora, they're the kind of people that are very entrepreneurial. They will probably have lots of things going for them.
Yeah, definitely. I think the misconception is getting better now. But sometimes when I ask my friends if they're interested in maybe applying to AWS, for example, or Google, Microsoft, and they tell me that because they don't come from a computer science degree, that they're probably not going to apply. But there's actually so many roles out there in these companies, whether that be in these large tech companies or startups, that really require skills that are non-technical.
Yes, it might not seem that there are many opportunities available in a professional sphere, but there are plenty of opportunities available in something called grassroots sports. So your local sports club, your local footy club, they have all the positions that are available in a professional sports team. You can do the same thing at a grassroots sports grassroots sports club. So something like budgeting or data analysis or media and social media. All these jobs are available within grassroots sport, and that's where you can get your foot in the door in the sports industry by taking up those roles.
I think it's also important to remember that life is happening right now, right? Life isn't happening 10 years down the time. Life isn't happening when you have a grad job. If you ask most people older than you, they'll say their best moments were in university, right? So I don't think students should forget that. It can be so easy to caught up in the after university world, and I'm in it now. And I can tell you that on top of all this stuff, finding your purpose, whatever, just enjoy the time. Really just enjoy it.
Everyone needs to be able to find a balance between being consistent and being flexible while forgiving yourself when you mess up. It does happen. We're only people. We're not perfect. And you immediately get back on track. Being don't have any attachment to failure. Learn from your mistakes, but don't get attached. That's really, really important.
And I think the value I found from networking and having these real honest conversations with these women was that they kept telling me that you can absolutely do it, but you need to put your back into it, and you really need to upskill in a very realistic way. So that's definitely something that I hope people who are listening to this know. Like, you're not pigeonholed into anything, but if you do decide to change, you need to also do your research into what you need to change and succeed. Because
I only started making YouTube videos and posting on LinkedIn when I kind of got some achievements in my belt. But I think my recommendation for students would be to start as soon as you can, because building a personal brand is not just about showing people your achievements, but also showing them how you got there. And
like, I guess from the outside, you might think that, it's a really exclusive club that only a small group of people are a part of, and everyone must be really serious and super mean. But once you get in the organizations, everyone's super nice, super friendly. Like, first day on the job at the Tigers, I walked in, I was super nervous, and like everyone just said hi to you and made you really feel welcome. So from what I've heard from other experiences as well, like, that's a big part of the sports industry, and that everyone's really welcoming and really nice.
A bodybuilding comp is something that literally takes everything out of you for like every moment of the day, right? When you're combining the dieting with the training, every moment of the day, probably towards the last month, you just feel insanely hungry. Like there's no getting away from it. There's nothing you can do without feeling insanely hungry. Even when you go to bed, you can barely sleep because of the hunger pains. And so he knew that this was going to challenge me immensely. And being the friend he is, or what, I don't want to swear on here, but he made me do it anyway. So that all started in the Netherlands.